Hello everybody and welcome to the We Only Do One Take podcast. It's the only podcast in the world that is a complete shit show. I am Turch and with me is my co-host, the CEO, the K-Man himself. It's Kieran. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing very well. Very relaxed.
It's nice to be back in the studio. I'm gonna be very honest with you. And with us today is someone that I've been very interested in someone who's interested in a topic that I've been very interested in for a very long time. With us today is a very special guest. It is Tyler. Tyler, you there, mate?
I sure am.
Fantastic. Let me just double check everything. Everything's recording. How good's that, Kieran?
That's bloody brilliant.
Fantastic. So Tyler is into a certain type of activity. The acronyms are ABDL, Adult Baby Diaper Lover.
Yeah.
Is that right, Tyler? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Now look, I know a little bit about this topic. Kieran knows a little bit less, maybe more. I don't know. He's been doing some research. I know that for a fact. But Tyler, why don't you describe to us what adult ABDL is?
Sure. So it's different for everybody, but for the most part, the general idea is a group of adults, all consenting, who enjoy either just wearing diapers or wearing diapers and mentally and sometimes physically regressing to an earlier state of mind. Usually it's pretty young for most of the community.
And how young is young? Like people going like 10-year-old, or they're going to go all the way back down to like a 2-year-old, or like 1-year-old sort of thing?
Well, see, it kind of ranges because there's littles, there's middles, and then there's bigs.
Right.
Some people can be they regress to an age somewhere between 8 years old and 12 or 13, but primarily most of the people in our community regress to an age younger than 5.
Younger than 5.
So is that's a young?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like for me personally, I usually regress somewhere between 2 and 3. I do have a friend of mine who regresses the lowest I've ever seen, which is usually around like newborn.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So when you're like a 2-3-year-old, are you're talking like a 2 and a 3-year-old? And walking like a 2 and a 3-year-old?
For the most part, I mean, you still talk like an adult, but it's kind of got, you tend to take on more of like a higher pitched voice, or a lot of people will talk in like baby talk and, kind of like that. But not everybody is proficient when it comes to talking in baby talk. So usually it's just, people like kind of raise the tone of their voice a little bit. But for the most part, for me at least, I pretty much talk normal. My voice might go up a little bit subconsciously. I don't even, consciously do it. I'm not really good at baby talk, so I don't really talk like that when I'm in little mode. So.
Oh, little mode. Okay. So how do your littles? What do you like? Send a text to one another and say we're going to hang out? We're going to.
So there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of online communities. There's a couple of different sites that have thousands of people that are into this type of lifestyle, and we do these things. They're called meets, where one person will kind of be like the host and they'll kind of set it all up. Usually it's in a public place, like a mall or like a restaurant or something like that. And we pick a time and a date and everybody just kind of meets up. And usually if it's in public, a lot of people don't dress up in like, onesies and, babyish clothes or anything like that. Normally they do usually have a diaper underneath their regular adult clothes. But when it's in public, usually, we don't want to freak people out, and especially because a lot of people don't understand what it is that we do.
Well, that's why I wanted to have someone who's, I guess, very experienced into the ABDL community. I got a question for you. Just turn down the fan, Kieran.
Right.
While we're talking like that, my question is always going to be, how did you find out that this is something that you wanted to be a part of? So how long have you been doing the ABDL sort of stuff, and how did you initially get into it?
For me, well, I'm 31 now. I would say that it probably started as early as 7 or 8 years old. I remember having an attraction towards wearing diapers and diapers in general. I didn't really know.
So this is like over 20,
about
like, you know, you're 31 now, you stated. It's between 7 and 8. So this is like over 20 years. This is something you've been interested in for over 20 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, you know, I would say most children at that point in time would be like, yes, I'm definitely out of diapers. I'm definitely out
Right,
of, I'm
exactly,
I'm an adult kid. You know, that adult mentality of I want to be an adult. I don't wear diapers. I'm a big kid now. How do you go, you know what, this is still something I want to do?
Right. I totally get where you're coming from with that. So for a lot of people, yeah, it's not something that you would think it's obviously not, you know, I hate the word normal, but it's obviously not something that a normal 8-year-old would be thinking. And I can only speak from my own experience in my own life. But for me, I feel like a lot of the reason why that came about at such an early age was I had a very rough childhood.
Right.
Grew up in foster care and all that. So I never really had a very stable home life. And for me, like, diapers brought me back to a time in my life where things were stable, where things were, you know, were good. And so for me, like, that was a connection to that time in my life.
Okay, so 7 and 8, you're you know, wanting to continue to wear diapers. You wouldn't have been allowed to, really, though, back then.
Oh no, sure
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
No. I mean, and I don't think I even voiced those feelings probably until I was, I would say, like 14, 15 years old. I kind of, you know, I knew something. I knew that what I was feeling wasn't quite normal. Like, I knew that other kids didn't feel that same way. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that I really started to, like, act on those feelings and, like, started, you know, stealing diapers from neighbors' kids, or, you know, trying to buy them myself. And so until then, you know, they kind of was just thoughts and, you know, inclinations, if you will. And I never really acted upon them until I was a teenager.
Okay, so thoughts and inclinations are happening. What? Tell me the first time you steal or buy, because you're 15.
First time. So I remember I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I was staying with my cousin and his mom for like a week or so. My foster parents were going on vacation, and we were the same age. And I remember him being a bedwetter, and he had to wear diapers at night to bed. And I was like so intrigued by that. And I remember trying to sneak into the room while his mom was getting him ready for bed that night. And I remember sleeping in the bed next to him, and I couldn't sleep because every time he would move and I could hear the diaper, like, it you know, excited me, and I wanted to try one on so bad. And so finally, in the middle of the night, I had enough. I got up, snuck one out of his pack, and snuck off to the bathroom to try it on. And I don't know. I guess I fell in love with it that moment, because it just progressed more and more from there. Like, once I had that taste, I was constantly looking for other ways to get my hands on diapers, whether it be, you know, stealing it from friends who had little brothers and sisters. Or I remember when I was like 11 or 12, anytime I would go to the grocery store with my foster parents, you know, I would make an excuse to get away from them. Like, oh, I want to go look at magazines real quick. And I would automatically go to the diaper aisle and either, you know, just walk up and down and enjoy the sights and the sounds and the smells. Or sometimes I'd be more adventurous, and I would actually open a pack of diapers and steal one or two out and run to the bathroom real quick in the grocery store, which, looking back on that now, like, that was extremely impulsive and dangerous. Like, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble for that. But at that time, like, I was so impulsive and I wanted it so bad that I didn't think about those things. And even if I had thought about those things, I probably wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
I was say when I said to a few people, like some of our friends, that we're having someone on the show that was into this, right?
Yep.
And the first thing they thought instantly was this, like, they're like, oh my God, guys get off, or girls, whatever it is, get off on wearing diapers, or there's a sexual element. But you're talking about almost like regression, because it almost feels like a time that you can feel safe and secure rather than a sexual element.
Right.
I mean, you know, we're talking like 7 and 8 and all that sort of stuff, and now 14, 15. That's where I guess you do start experimenting, like learning about yourself and sexuality and all that sort of stuff. Is there as time went on, was there a sexual element to it?
So I mean, it like I said, it is different for everyone. There are a lot of ABDLs are also known as age players, and there are a lot of age players out there that don't derive any type of sexual satisfaction from wearing diapers or being treated like a little kid or anything like that. For them, it's purely a state of mind, and for a lot of people, it's even a form of therapy for them.
So what is age play? Because I just want to define the terms properly, because to have a really good understanding of them before yeah. So what would age play be in, like, a good definition or an example in your mind?
So for age playing, it definitely encompasses more than just the ABDL realm, because ABDL focuses obviously more on being younger, but there are people who age play who it's all about pretty much role playing or becoming a certain type of character. Like there are people that'll age play as an old person, and there's people that'll age play as teenagers or like college kids, and like so it's a very broad spectrum. But basically,
like
age play is just role playing.
Sexy schoolgirls, that sort of thing,
right? And sexy schoolgirl in trouble with the headmaster,
Yeah. But also wearing diapers. Like add that
right for the most part.
Yeah.
That is that in the ABDL community, diapers is probably the most existing part in everybody's, whatever you want to call it, fetish or lifestyle or whatever.
So this
right,
is,
exactly.
This like a lifestyle. So from 15 onwards, this is something that you're trying to do every day.
Well, see, this is one of the things is, though, you're 14, you're 15. Now back, because we're similar ages to you, back then, 14, 15, the internet's sort of developing.
I was going to bring up that.
Right.
Totally. Are you on forums? Because it's very hard. I mean, the internet now, you can find whatever bloody fetish or interest and find communities and people. But
I remember being 13 years old. I had AOL dial-up, and I remember searching. I remember just searching people who like to wear diapers, and there was only a couple of different sites out there at that time. Like there was DPF, which was like a community-based site, and it was like you could go on there to get like pen pals that you would actually write to who were into the same things you were into. And then there was another site which was one of my favorites, which was called Deekers, which was all literature. It was all people who had written stories based in that genre, an ABDL genre.
Almost like
that was actually one of the
like fan fiction type of stuff then, or like
right, yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Yeah. Right, it was kind of like the early version of like Reddit or Wattpad,
And these sites, I don't know if these sites are still going, but it's a similar sort of type of people still on these sites or other sites as time has gone on, like sites like 4chan have been there since the dawn of time, for instance,
right,
and they're still this thriving community. Reddit's the same sort of thing; they've been on for so long, but it's just sort of one of those communities that are still going. Are they still going in the same manner, or are they sort of changed over time?
So those two specific websites are no longer running, but they were the jumping stones, the starting point for what's out there today. There's a website called ADISC, which is all community-based writers, and so that's where you would go nowadays to find stories like this, stories of adults and stuff like that. And then there's way more communities now. Like you've got Diaper Boys, which is geared towards just gay men who are into diapers and stuff. You've got FetLife, which is a broad spectrum of all kinds of fetishes. There's just so many others. There's way more than I could list, and it breaks off into subcategories because you've got furries, who are also ABDL, and then they become what is known as baby furs. So it's like a mixture of two different fetishes.
So that's something I wanted to talk about. I was very curious about, because I've always wanted to get a furry on the show to talk about how they got into being a furry, much like I'm talking to yourself about the ABDL community. How does I can't, maybe I'm just a Mr. Vanilla over here, But I can't imagine just going, you know what I really love? I really love dressing up as an animal or have this fur affinity sort of thing. And I like wearing diapers. The best thing for me to do is to combine the two. I can't see the
correlation.
Yeah, no, not even the correlation. Like the steps that are needed to take to get to that. That's the best option for me.
Right.
Like I'm a simple man. I like big boobs. Like I'm an easy guy. Like that's all.
He's a boob man. He's a boob man.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. I get you. Yeah, and it's definitely a growing community, and it's changing every day. And like I said, it is different for everybody how they get to where they're at, what conclusions they draw from their experiences. But for me personally, like I was into the ABDL scene for a while before I even found out about the furry scene.
Yep.
And for me, the furry scene was more. I'm really into like artists and writers and stuff like that. So like for the furry community, it was a big community for animators and for people that like to draw.
Yeah.
And that's how it originally took off. And then it was like somebody somewhere out there decided to combine the two, and then that just took off even further.
I've heard many jokes of people saying that a lot of artists can only make money on the internet by drawing furry art and all that sort of stuff. And and I wouldn't be surprised if that's true.
No, me neither, not at all, because it is there are people who actually get paid. It's called drawing a commission, which is somebody will give you like the details of their fursona, which is like what species it is, the age, what kind of colors it has, blah, blah, blah. And this person will draw you a picture of what your character is, and then you pay them for it. And it is there's a lot of people that do that nowadays. Literally, there are people who make fursuits and make a living by that, doing nothing but making fursuits for people who want them.
That's amazing to think. So you were 15, right? Do you want to continue on
right.
with that?
Yeah. So you're
sure.
So just to put it out there, so my day job during the other than doing this lovely podcast is I'm a project manager. Kieran, on the other hand, is a psychologist over there.
Oh, very cool.
Which is awesome, right? And but he'd never really heard about this sort of stuff, so he's got so many more questions than I do. So I'm going to let him sort of take over. I'll just
don't worry, this isn't therapy.
No. This is just information gathering.
I just do
research.
Right. I'm just a researcher. Okay, so you're 15. When was the first time? Because I know this internet thing is, it starts to connect people. When was the first time you met another, maybe online, and then you actually met them in person?
It's a great question.
Like met in person or like talked on the phone or something like that?
Well, both.
Okay, so I remember the first person I actually talked to in person, or like talked to not over chat.
Like on the phone.
I was like 6, right, on the phone. I think it was actually, I think it was on the phone actually. And I think I was like 16. But this person was like 40.
Right. And
so it was a little awkward.
Did that ring any? It sounds like it rang a few alarm bells in your head.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even then, I knew that wasn't quite right. And unfortunately, just like a side note, unfortunately, there are some people in this community who give us all a bad name because they are what I call sexual deviants. And I just wanted to put it out there that the biggest thing that our community wants other people to know about our community is that it has nothing to do with having sex with children. We do not, condone that kind of activity at all. And not only that, but we don't even find children attractive or anything like that. Like, if anything, we want to be that child. We don't want anything to do with that child,
Right.
But anyways, back to what I was saying. So the first time I talked to somebody on the phone, I was like 16. But the first time I actually met up with somebody in person, I was 22, 23 years old. I was living in Green Bay, Wisconsin, here in the States. And somebody on one of the websites had said, hey, we're doing a meetup here at the local mall. Just show up and let's have some fun. And I actually, it took a friend of mine who was actually into the ABDL scene longer than I was to convince me to go, because I'm a very shy guy. I'm kind of socially awkward. So I didn't really want to go meet these people, especially because up until this point, this whole lifestyle, whatever, had been such a solo act. You know, I hadn't involved anybody else. I didn't even talk to people about this part of myself, you know? And so it was a big step for me to go to this meeting, but it was probably the funnest time I've had up to that point. Like, I met some amazing people who, you know, I thought they would all be kind of weirdos, but no, everybody was normal people and had normal day-to-day jobs and families. And
so
was just, you know,
something.
What
did that first meetup entail? You said a few of them were going, you know, you meet up at like for us it's called a shopping center, but a mall for you guys. And just is it just chatting, or is it more like, you know, we meet up at a bar just to chat? And
a bar would have been nice. Probably some alcohol would have made us all loosen up a little bit. No, we just sat in the food court and we ate lunch and swapped stories, and, you know, kind of just, there wasn't even really all that much talk about the scene itself, about diapers or anything like that. It was more people getting to know each other on a more personal level,
about a common interest rather than anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, well put. Yeah, exactly.
Is it also you know that these people aren't judging you?
So I personally didn't feel like that. I felt actually the opposite of that. I felt like these people, if anybody wasn't going to judge me, it was going to be these people, because they understood me or understood what I was into, or, you know, and they had other things that they were into that I didn't know about or wasn't into. And it was just like, nobody cared what you were into because everybody was into something weird, you know?
So you're 22, 23. This is your first meetup. And you said you had a friend that was also into this sort of stuff. How did you meet? Like,
Correct,
that seems like an in real life person rather than a friend on the phone or anything like that. How did you meet this person, like, in real life? Like, were you at, like, you know, college or university or anything like that, or, you know, whatever, or at a workplace, or was it through the internet and then you met in real life because you live close? How did that interaction occur?
It was actually the latter. I had met him on that Diaper Boys website.
Yeah.
And I learned that he lived literally a couple blocks down the street from me.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was crazy. And we ended up meeting up in public the first time on this little river walk thing. And he had brought me like a little backpack full of diapers because I didn't have any at the time. And so, like, I was already like, this guy's awesome, you know? And then I think it was 2 days later, he invited me over to his house, and after that, you know, we just hung out like all the time.
Wow.
You got anything to go on with? It's cute because I got 1,000,001 questions, but I feel like you have, like, Kieran's like scratching his head, going, "I've got to say something here."
No, this is just so eye-opening.
By all means, ask away.
No, very cool. Were there any near misses? So did you wear any diapers to school, or I don't know, because the movies here portray high school as just very terrible.
So
in the
I was
States.
going to, just to put it in context, we went to Tyler. We went to an all guys high school, and if something like this was
ever found out,
if it was found out, this would have been the. I think you would have had to move school, probably, to remove yourself from the internet as well. It would have been one of those things, but. Yeah, any near misses on your end, like that?
As far as that goes, public school isn't much different because that's exactly what happened, actually. So my first story, I should say, was that I was in 8th grade, I think, and I was staying after school for rehearsal for a musical that I was in, and we were on break, and the auditorium was like right next to the special needs room. And the bathroom was like being occupied in the auditorium. So I was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to run over there and go to the bathroom real quick. And I remember when I walked into the bathroom, there was a stack of diapers in there. And I was like, well, okay then, you know, and I tried one on and went about the rest of my rehearsal that day wearing that. And I was so enthralled, and like, I felt like I was doing something dangerous and something, you know, very taboo, and nothing ended up happening that time at all. It actually kind of scared me away from it for a while, because I was like, well, what would have happened if I had gotten caught, you know? So it wasn't until my junior year of high school, which is really odd, is that this instance I was again staying.
You just have to.
It was actually a Saturday.
You just have to explain junior year of high school.
Yeah, how old were you?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. I was 16.
Okay, so that's like for us, like year 9, year 10, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we would probably even call senior school.
Yes. Yeah, year 10 is sort of senior school for us. So we only have junior and senior. Like year 7, 8, 9 is like junior, then 10, 11, 12 sort of senior, and that's about it. We don't really have like a middle school, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I gotcha.
So you were in middle school, you were doing, this is after the musical?
Yeah, so this was junior year of high school, 16 years old. I was, again, on campus on a Saturday for rehearsal for a musical that I was doing. That was, the opening night was this following week. And we were given a 2-hour break, and I was just kind of walking around the high school. Not really doing anything, didn't really have any, idea to go and find diapers or anything like that. But my high school where I live was the only high school in the area that had a nursery on it, because we had a teen parent program there. So any teens that got pregnant in the area went to my high school. So I just happened to be walking by there and test the handle, and the door was unlocked. So I went in there and, I found some diapers. And at this point in my life, diapers had started to become more of a sexual thing for me.
Right.
It was at that point, obviously I was still a virgin. And for me, that was my only outlet for sexual tension, So, I got to doing what I was doing and got done, cleaned up, threw everything away, made sure there was no trace of me being there. And I left. Come Monday morning, I come to school, very first period, very first class of the day, I get called up to the principal's office. And lo and behold, what I didn't know was that they had security cameras in the nursery.
Oh, no.
And so not only did I get...
So what you're telling me is the school created child pornography. I mean, if we're going to talk about what happened...
Essentially, yes. Yes. Essentially, yes. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And so that was how I got caught.
Well, at least no one else but adults saw it. I guess it's your schoolmates.
I don't want to go there, but I want to go there.
Yeah.
What was that like?
There's a little bit more. There's a little bit more to the story. So after I got caught, I got suspended from school.
Yeah.
And my parents, they obviously found out, and they made me go to therapy. And when I came back to school from suspension, I think I was suspended for like 2 weeks or something like that. I came back to school, and the very first day back, I just felt awkward. Like everybody was staring at me, like people were staring at me or, laughing behind my back. And I ended up overhearing a conversation from another student, and somehow the teacher that runs the nursery or my assistant principal or somebody leaked what had happened that weekend.
Oh, no.
And pretty much my whole senior class knew what had happened. And I basically became ostracized, and life was miserable.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. That's one way to do it, I guess. That's
one
way to
do it.
So you had 2 years left of school, is that right?
Yeah.
And it was...
when this happened, I think there was only like 2 or 3 months left in my junior year, so I only had like a year and a couple of months left of school.
Yep.
Right. But so
were you
after that, my senior year, I instead of taking a full class load my senior year, I had a schedule because I was taking AP classes, like advanced placement classes.
Right.
So I had enough credits that my senior year I only had to take 3 classes, and so I was done with school by 10. Yeah, I was done with school by 10 o'clock in the morning. I had a full-time job working at a fast food restaurant overnights, graveyard shift, and so I didn't really care. I was making money. I had my own apartment my senior year. It was whatever. I didn't want to be there anymore, anyways. But yeah, it was bad. After I found out that they found out, I got real depressed and ended up trying to kill myself that year.
Oh, jeez.
Which I wouldn't be surprised because you're 16 and you're figuring out sexuality in life and exploring and good on you. Which I mean, like if I had a kid who did that, I'd be like, you're an idiot. There's like security cameras, like go to the bathroom for God's sake.
No, totally. Looking back on it now, I'm like, I'm an idiot. How did I not notice that?
Yeah. So did you get suspended for the masturbation, or did you get suspended for wearing the diapers, or?
I was going to say you went to the nursery, which means the diapers would have been for an infant.
Yeah,
I guess. And I would just hope at this point at 16 you'd be bigger than an infant,
Yeah, no, I couldn't actually wear them. No. No, they literally was basically just something to catch, what came out.
All right.
But yeah, so like.
I want to know what the therapist said.
Yeah,
I really want to know. I really want to know.
That was the surprising part. Like, because obviously my foster parents were super concerned. They thought, they were very religious people, so they thought, that what I was doing was very bad, and so they took me to a therapist.
Because I just want to jump in here.
They kind of kicked them in the ass because the therapist was on my side. The therapist told my parents there was nothing wrong with me.
I was about to say, if someone came in front of me and did that, I'd be like, okay, all right. What's the problem?
Yeah, and she told my parents there was nothing wrong with me. She even suggested that they indulge what I wanted to do, and obviously they didn't want to do that. But yeah, no, she was super cool. She, helped me kind of realize that was the first part in my life where I realized why I was like the way I was, like why I was trying to recapture this part of my childhood that seemed to have been, lost and forgotten. Yeah. And it was, all the trauma and everything that I went through as a young child, going through foster care and losing my parents and all that. She said it's completely normal and actually makes sense why you would want to go back to an earlier time in your life. And so that actually, the therapy was a good experience for me.
Well, that's great to hear. That's what we like to hear on this show, to be honest.
Well, that's.
So you talk about, as I always give Kieran shit about being a psychologist. This is one of those things on this show.
Yeah.
But one of the things that just interested me when you were just talking about that experience, you said it wasn't sexual until you were like 16, 17, all that sort of thing. As the sexuality aspect of the diapers continued on into your adulthood.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, like, there are some people that actually derive sexual pleasure from being in that little space, that little mode. For me personally, that's not the case. For me, diapers are sexual for me, but everything else is not.
Sexual in what way?
Just in the fact that, like, the feel of them, the what it feels like when you wet them. The sound that they make, because I primarily only wear the plastic-backed ones. So those three things, the senses of actually wearing them, that's what aroused me. And that was what I would use to masturbate, was the diaper itself. But when I was an actual... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So, because that's the thing, like, I've had to change diapers on my little cousins and all this sort of stuff. We call them nappies here. I don't know if it makes it any nicer.
Right, yeah.
Right?
It does sound a little nicer,
yeah, it doesn't. But the texture of them isn't something I would say is pleasurable. And then you just said something that just sparked my interest, that you say you soil them in some sort of way, especially with, I guess, urine, or do you go the number 2 as well?
I mean, I've been known to from time to time, but it's not really something I enjoy doing. It's usually when that happens, it's because it was legitimately an accident.
Right.
So for me personally, messing myself is not an arousal for me, but there are people in the community who do derive pleasure from messing their diapers.
Wow. Kieran's amazed.
I'm just amazed. No, because
he wouldn't be the first.
Yeah, I just go because most humans, I mean, part of our evolution is like where it I don't know, it's we see wee in feces.
Oh, look, Art Kelly gets excited, so why can't others?
It's just a natural...
Yeah. Thanks, Tyler.
That is true, though. I mean, if you do think about it, I mean, even even actual babies do get aroused when they're getting, changed. So
I've never heard that, to be honest, but then maybe that's a...
Oh, yeah, no, it's a real thing.
I don't know, I'm no
I
biologist.
have nieces and nephews, and...
Okay, so I want to just go back a little bit. So this events happened when you're 16 at school, and it's terrible, and
right.
You're not in a good place. When was the year? When was the time when you went, you know what? Fuck it. This is who I am. This is what I like.
Yes,
this is
the coming out in essence.
Yeah. When did that happen?
For me, it was around, I'd say around 24 or 25. So it wasn't fairly long ago. But for me, it was just like, I had spent so many years trying not to be like the way I was. And on top of also trying not to, have this attraction towards diapers and being little, I also was trying to convince myself that I was straight for many years. So for me, it was like, finally, I don't even know really what the key moment was. I just know it was around that age. But it was like, why am I trying to be this person that I think is going to please other people when it's your own self that you need to please, And it was like, I went through so much pain and so much heartache trying to not be like myself and trying to, to be what everybody else expected me to be normal in sense. And it was like all this, and I realized all this wasted time and wasted connections, people that I chose not to meet, or people that I cut off because I decided I didn't want to be a part of this community anymore. And it was like, I always came back to it. They have in our community, it's called a purge cycle. And a lot of people go through it where they'll, be into the scene and they'll buy diapers and they'll buy clothes and they'll have all this stuff. And then you end up feeling like guilty, or like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. And you have this urge to just be like everybody else. And so they'll throw everything away and they'll get rid of everything. But, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't last very long. And they always coming back to it,
Once a fetish,
but
always a fetish type of thing,
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so it was for me, it was a lot of at that time in my life, I had met someone who like you guys, knew nothing about the community or any of that stuff when I had first met him. And I'd kind of explained it to him, and while I was explaining it to him, I was like, but this isn't me. I'm trying not to be like. And he's like, why? If that's you, that's you. He's like, just accept who you are and love yourself and try to live your best life possible.
Is it?
And it really struck a chord with me.
Now, yeah, I was actually going to ask that, like, when you go into relationships, how, obviously you want to get intimate with a person eventually.
Right.
How far in do you go, hey, look, I'm really into this, and have you ever had any negative reactions to it?
Oh, yeah. So, and it is, everybody reacts to it differently, and I've kind of seen the whole gambit of reactions. And I've seen what happens when you wait too long to tell somebody. So I learned early on that, before it really starts to get serious, if you think that you could be with this person for years, that's when it's time to tell them. Not on the second date, you know. You don't want to scare them off.
So you don't want to pull. You don't want to pull down your pants and just be like, "Hey, those are the weirdest pair of underpants I've ever seen," and then and start the conversation that way, I guess. Because
hey, that was a great first date. You want to come upstairs and change my diaper? Like, it just doesn't really,
That's a big thing. I don't know how it is in the gay community, but I can't imagine. Like, I've been with my partner for about 7 years now or so, but I can't imagine even going to her, hey, I'm into this. I think that would have scared her off. And maybe it's different with guys. I don't know.
I'll actually tell you that it seems like females are actually more receptive to it than males are. Because they have that inert need to want to nurture. It's like ingrained in their DNA that they like to nurture people, at least most women. So it's like in my experience, at least, I've had women react way better than men have.
Right. This is just fascinating. Okay, so how often do you wear them? Like 24/7 to bed, to intermittently?
So
what's the average day? What's the average week for you?
Well, and that's actually probably something I should mention too. Is that for a lot of people, it's not it's not a 24/7 thing. Like I can go a week or two or even longer without wearing diapers or even having the urge to wear diapers. If I had the means and the financial ability to be able to wear 24/7, would I? In a heartbeat. And as would most people in our community. But that's just not financially feasible for most people. And so you have to, pick and choose when you do engage in these activities. But at the same time, that also makes it that more enjoyable because it is such a special moment for you. So for me personally, I only wear currently, I'm wearing 24/7, but that's because I was in a motorcycle accident back in July and I'm still recovering from that.
Right. For a different reason, I guess.
Currently, yes.
Which must, geez, just thinking about that, that must really conflict. Like, if someone's wearing diapers 24/7, for, I guess, and there's sexual arousal comes from wearing diapers, that must be a really conflicting thing. Like, like if someone said to me, hey, you can go to work every day, but there's, videos of beautiful tits jumping around 24/7, like that would be very distracting for me. And I probably wouldn't get a lot of work done. Like, even if it was in secret, like no one else can see it but me. Like for someone to go, yeah, I'm sexually attracted to wearing diapers and stuff like that, and I'm going to wear one all day. Like, I don't understand how people get work done. Maybe that's just my naivety.
Well, no, totally. I think that when, the newbies, the people that just start out wearing, those that would wear, 24/7 when they had just started, I could see that being an issue. But for those of us that have been doing it for so long, like I can tell you, I would say probably, 80% of the time, I don't even realize that I'm wearing a diaper. Like you forget it's there. It just becomes second nature.
What if someone at your work, do they know that you wear diapers, or is it hidden from them? Or if they found out,
I have worn diapers to work many times, and as far as I know, nobody has ever noticed, or at least ever said anything that they noticed.
You must be a stall man. Like, you must always go to a bathroom stall rather than the urinal.
Oh, for sure, yeah. even when I'm not wearing
fair
a diaper,
enough. Okay. That's fair enough.
I just don't like urinals.
Yeah, splashback can get you.
We talked about a long time on the show piss driblets, and I kind of, at least you've got something that's meant to absorb them rather than just in your underwear.
Well, this would solve your problem, Turch.
I'm not wearing.
If you wore a diaper, Turch, right? This would solve your piss driblets.
This is a problem that all men suffer. It's the biggest response I've had about something that I've complained about on this show, Kieran.
Look, Tyler, how big is the community?
Hey, man, I'll tell you, even if you're not, an ABDL, diapers come in handy on long car rides. They come in handy when you go to the movies.
Or especially if it's a 3-hour movie.
You don't have to get up in the middle of the movie.
Or something.
Would you? Yeah, right. Would you not worry that they would, like, leak if you peed and you're wearing it?
Well, it depends on the brand, because it's a very wide gambit of products out there these days. There are some brands that are far better than others that are, that there are brands out there that can hold up to 6,000 milliliters. And that's a lot.
It's like a pint of beer. And then you just over a pint of beer.
Exactly.
We use mils here, so we understand those terminologies.
Oh, okay, good. And then you have other brands like Attens or, the more well-known brands that people, that most insurance companies will provide. Those ones are the cheap, shittiest diapers you could ever buy. One wetting, anything more than that, and it's going to leak on you. They're just made shitty. The tapes are bad. But there's a lot of good brands, especially now, which it's really surprising to see is that over the last, 5 or 6 years, there's been this growing trend in companies coming out with adult diapers that are geared towards ABDLs. There's been so many different prints that have come out. There's probably a good 4 or 5 main companies that provide these diapers nowadays.
You can get some pretty. I was looking into this. You can get some pretty cool patterns and.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you can get.
I mean, they even have stores now. Like there's a store in Chicago. There's a store in Vegas. Like an actual store that you can go into, and it's nothing but adult baby clothes, adult diapers, and pacifiers and bottles geared towards adults. And it's definitely become this booming industry. It's primarily outside of the States, though. It seems that it's far more popular in like Canada, Europe. It's very big in Germany for some reason.
Well, Germans are a bit special.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then Japan, though. Japan is probably the biggest market for adult diapers and ABDL products out there. And I think a lot of it is because most of their population over there is elderly. So like they actually outsell in adult diapers in Japan than they do in baby diapers.
Yeah, I get the elderly part, and I mean, I had a client who has toilet function, doesn't know when he goes to the toilet, so actually wears a diaper constantly, for other reasons. What I want to know, how big in your town would you say? I don't know how big your town is, but what's the percentage? Is it like 1 in every 1,000? Is it 1 in every 100?
So I mean, for my own town, it's a fairly big city. I live in Tucson, Arizona, which is south of Phoenix, the capital. And it's a fairly big city. And I would say that probably every 1 in 10 people is probably ABDL or has a diaper fetish or something like that here. But there are cities that it tends to be more popular in, obviously, like anywhere in California for some reason. And then the places where like these stores are, like it's really big in Chicago, Illinois area. And it's like obviously really big in these like bigger cities like New York City and Dallas and stuff like that. But it's these rural towns that you find the majority of these people because they're so secluded from other people that they find other ways to connect with people. And this happens to be one of them.
See, look, I don't know. I don't think Australia, I may be wrong, but I don't feel like Australia has a big community of like this. But only recently I've been, I think on the Facebook group that I joined to, and this is how I met yourself. It seems like there's an Australian, I guess it's called KangaCon, and it's going to be a convention for ABDL community. Now, I don't know how big that is. I'm very interested, but sadly, it's in a different city to where we live.
Right.
But I can't imagine the community being very large here. And you're talking about 1 in 10.
That's 10%.
That's 10% of the population. I mean, that's like for Australia at least, that's bigger than the gay population. I mean, and I know lots of gay people. For you to say something like that, like out of 1 in 10 people in the room, like we went up to a place for New Year's. That means at least one person there was into diapers. And
come on, Turch, tell us.
Here's the thing, though.
Turch.
A lot. The numbers aren't necessarily accurate because there are still so many people that are into this stuff, that's into this community, but they don't express it, or they don't participate in the community. So there's a lot of people that are still in the closet about what they like and whatnot. So I mean, I could be a little off with the number. It might be more than 1 in 10. It might be more like 1 in 20. But as far as Australia goes, you guys actually have one of the biggest producers of ABDL onesies in the world.
What's a company? Because I need to get in contact with them. Another goal that I've had for this podcast this year is to become a stock photo model, or a model for a. So long story short, I wore a wig, like a fake, a wig for a costume on New Year's Eve and stuff like that. And the company had this really unattractive, like horrible person modeling on the front. So I'm trying to get in contact with them to be that model. And I thought this would be fun. How can I what's a company that sells, I guess, adult onesies for the ABD?
So,
is it strictly ABDL community based, or is it just like a general thing that makes onesies for adults?
No, it's definitely the company that I'm referring to is definitely ABDL based. It's
Wow.
called Onesies Down Under. I don't know the actual website, but they're called Onesies Down Under. They have some of the cuter prints. It seems like their products are not necessarily geared more towards the female clientele, but it does seem like most females prefer to go to that company for their onesies. I don't know if it's the cut or what it is, but they are a fairly popular company in the community. They also sell adult diapers and accessories and stuff like that too. They're probably not as well known and popular as Tykables, which is for sure the most popular company for ABDL products. But they're getting up there. They started out as like a not really well known company, but now between social media feeds and just their social media presence altogether, people have really started to discover them, and they've really started to take off.
That's fantastic. It's crazy to think these hidden markets of opportunities for people that are just in communities and this and that. We've got to tap into this market.
I'm just. If they're public companies, I might be buying stock.
You've got people that aren't even not big companies, but you've got single people, individuals who make money selling custom pacifiers, or there are people that actually make ABDL clothes themselves, like custom order stuff, like for trademark infringement. Nobody out there sells anything with Paw Patrol on it in the adult size. Basically, there's no Paw Patrol onesies out there. But there are people out there, individuals like on Etsy and stuff like that will make that for you custom and sell it to you. And they can get away with that because they're not a company. I don't know how they get away with it, but right, exactly, a one-off thing. So I mean, these people are making buku bucks out there nowadays too. Crazy. You're talking $130, $150 for a footed sleeper. You're talking $80 for a onesie. Like it's not cheap stuff.
No. So let's go back, as you said at the beginning of this sort of thing. You sort of regress to a certain age range for yourself and wear the diaper and all that sort of stuff. So typical day, it's a Friday night. You think, what, I'm just going to stay at home tonight and I'm going to decide. When do you decide to regress? Like, it's like, okay, after dinner, it's going to be 7:30, 8 o'clock. After I'm on the We Only Do One Take podcast.
This is the very project manager type of, it's 7:30, we do this till 8:30. Then at 9 o'clock,
it's like, I've got to dinner with some friends. I'm going to come home. I'll have a couple of drinks in me. Yet then it's time to whip on. That's the time I put on the onesie, and it's party time. Is that how it is, or is it more just spontaneous?
It is more spontaneous for me personally. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I'm somewhat always in little mode. Like even adult me is pretty immature and still loves watching cartoons and stuff like that. And I'll make stupid jokes with my friends, and I like to pull pranks on them. Like I'm very childish as an adult to begin with. But for me, like the main time when I really feel like getting in little space is usually around bedtime, like when I'm going to bed. And it's usually part of like my nighttime routine. But there have been times where like for me personally, the reason why I regress is that I suffer from an anxiety disorder, and the medications that they would put me on, the side effects were just, horrible, and I hated them, and it was worse than the anxiety itself. And that's when I had realized that in those moments when I regressed and kind of let go of the whole adult world and all my problems, didn't think about it, it took that anxiety away and it took that stress away. So for me, it's, primarily, when I'm going to bed, or when I'm like super stressed out, if I've got a deadline at work, or, I'm struggling in school or something like that, that's when it really rears its head the most. But there are some people that they can literally be walking down the street and see, a commercial for some kids show, and then boom, they're automatically in little space, or they hear a certain song and it puts them in little space. And, there are a lot of people that are like that.
Tyler, fascinating explanation. Now, your little spaces, was it 2 to 4, roughly, or under 5?
Yeah, I would say it's like 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
And that's a little, right? That's a little.
Correct, yeah.
Why not less than 2 or more than 4?
I actually never really thought about that. I guess, I mean, for me, I don't want to be so young that I can't voice what I want. So that's why I never really went younger than 2. And then as far as getting older, I mean, I guess I do at times actually kind of act a little bit older because my current partner is also a little, and we kind of switch off who plays, the daddy role from time to time. And so like, I can, even though I'm not really a daddy, I will sometimes play big brother who's, 14, 15, 16 years old. But other than that, like, I just don't like going up more than like 4 years old because to me, it's like, those were the bad times in my life, like, so I regress to that 2 to 4 area because that's when I was the happiest when I felt the most secure.
Bloody awesome. Yeah. You can talk and you can run and you can do shit and 4-year-olds are great.
Right.
Explain
You're
daddy.
Not totally reliant on somebody.
That's right. And you can sort of explore your own world. I like it. What is a daddy? What's this daddy thing? And then if you're a big brother, if you're a big brother, are you making the sandwiches? Or you're telling your partner to go to bed, going like it's past your bedtime. You're being, because some parents are like, you're a little shit now. You're 4-year-old, like go back to bed. Like what?
Go to fuck to sleep.
Or get dad another beer. Like what happens?
So I mean, so it whether it be a daddy or a mommy or an older sibling, they're all considered what is a caregiver or, somebody that kind of just looks out for you when you're in that little space. And it's different for everybody. Some people get way more into it and way more in depth with their actions and their role play. So there are people out there who like their caregiver, whether it be daddy, mommy, whatever, sets bedtimes for them, picks out their clothes for them, what have you. But for the majority of us, your caretaker is really just there to change your diapers and cuddle you.
Right.
Okay. Now here's a weird one. So, you go, okay, my caretaker's there, change my diaper, put me to bed, turn the nightlight on, whatever read me a story maybe. That might be something I'm right. Assuming. How does that lead to...
Oh, yeah, for sure, that's a big part.
Yeah. Hey, also, while this is happening, I'm going to start jerking you off, and that's where we lead into the sex part. like that again, I think that's the disconnect that I'm maybe struggling with more than anything else.
You're not understanding, like, where that jump comes in.
Yeah. Like,
so for me personally,
like my girlfriend and I will be like, hey, we're sitting there, and then we start making out, and then we move, and then it's like, touching, feeling.
And it progresses.
And then it progresses, but like to go, hey, I'm going to read you like, a classic Australian, book, and you're in bed, and you're all snuggled in, and this and that, and I'm going to start jacking you off.
Next thing you know,
yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, and I keep saying that it's different for everybody, and so for me personally, when I'm in little space, I'm completely non-sexual. So like when I'm truly in little space, I don't even personally jack off in my diapers. Like it's a non-sexual thing for me. But when I'm not in little space and I'm just feeling, sexually aroused, that's when I'll just, throw on a diaper, jack off real quick, enjoy it for a little bit, whatever. But so for me personally, I don't. When I'm in little space, it's not a sexual thing, but there are people out there that it very much is a sexual thing for them. And I guess the way that kind of goes, like, ooh, you've been a bad boy, let me spank you, and oh, you're being punished, get over my knee.
You're using the diaper as more as an aid when you are feeling sexual rather than the
just wanting to be little.
Yeah, like, you want to be little, you put the diaper on that. But if you are feeling sexual, you're using it for different, like you're not putting it on, you're using it as an aid for that sexual experience. Maybe I'm wrong?
So like well, not really. No, you're very close. So like when I'm in little mode and I'm wearing a diaper, I don't even get hard, and it's just, wet it, whatever, get changed, wet the next one, whatever. But when it's like when I'm horny and, I have my caretaker, diaper me up or whatever, there might be the addition of like chastity, or there might be the addition of a butt plug or a vibrator or something like that, which takes it to a different level. So now it's not, 2-year-old Tyler getting diapered. It's 31-year-old Tyler wearing a diaper and having sex,
Right.
So for me, it's like two completely different personas almost. They're very much separate from each other.
Right.
Although, I mean, I will say that, like, when I'm feeling aroused and I'm wearing the diaper for that reason, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be, wearing a onesie as well or something like that. But I'm just not full blown into little space like I normally would be when it's a non-sexual.
So you said that you found that you were homosexual and that, like, about 25, 26 when you came out with the Adult Baby Diaper Lover stuff as well. Is that right? I'm just making sure. Guys.
So
yeah. Sorry.
I mean, I kind of thought. I mean, I kind of knew before then that I might be gay, but I was kind of trying not to be gay. I was engaged to a woman. Lost my virginity to her. She ended up getting pregnant. So I mean, I went down that road, but I never felt for her the way I felt towards men. And it was more when I turned 25 or whatever. It wasn't so much that I discovered that I was gay. It was more that I came to terms with the fact that I was gay.
Yeah. So look, fantastic. I was just gonna say, like, guys are like, I'm a guy and I'm really bad at reading signs. Like, with and if my boyfriend could wear a diaper both sexually and non-sexually, unless it was very explicit, I would not be able to tell the difference.
It would be like the pink diaper means we're gonna get it on.
Yeah, that's right.
And the blue diaper means it's little time.
Else.
Tyler, question.
And that's why communication, especially in our community, is such a key thing. Like, you have to be very vocal about what it is that you want and what you don't want and what you're looking for in that moment. But as far, like, for me, my partner has been with me for so long that he just knows. Like, he knows the different sides of me. He can tell which side of me it is that's trying to come out,
And you said he's into it too, so he obviously has been through the same sort of issues and same sort of line of thinking as well about the whole process and stuff.
I mean, I would say that he's fairly similar to the way that I am, but his is a little different. My partner, his name is Brent. He's 46, and so he's a bit older than me, and he was married for like 27 years, has a 22-year-old son. So, like, he did the whole straight life for many, many, many years until his marriage had finally ended. And that was when he discovered that he was gay, and he one of the partners that he was with when he first came out was who introduced him to the whole ABDL thing. So when he actually met me, he was far less experienced in it than I was. I ended up having to teach him a lot of things. And as it stands now, I'm far more active in the community than he is. I mean, not to say that he doesn't wear diapers, but I mean, I just diapered him up today, but it's very far and few between when he actually gets into that mood or, wants to get into that little space. So for the most part, he's more of the big, but so he's not come as far as I have, but he definitely has the same mentality and the same thought process as far as why people are into this type of thing.
Does his kid know? Like, does his kid know that he's in this field, or does his kid just know
his
that
kid
he's
knows
gay?
He's gay? His son knows he's gay, and his son has met me.
Yeah,
or knows me. But no, his son does not know about the diapers or any of that stuff.
Okay, yeah, right.
And do you tell other people other than your sexual partners that you're into this, or is that like, you don't? I think you said you had some siblings. Would you go to your brother or your sister, go, "Hey, I'm into this," or is it only just purely a friend sort of thing?
I have 2 brothers and a sister, and all 3 of them know. My sister
And obviously your parents know from the internet.
Right, exactly, yeah. And unfortunately now in this point in my life, I don't have contact with my family.
Yeah.
And this whole lifestyle is partially because of that, is partially the reason.
Is it just they're against it, or is it they're religious and against it, or?
It's primarily the religious aspect of it. When I came out to my parents that I was gay, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, they could accept the fact that I was into diapers and wanted to be a 2-year-old as long as I was straight. But as soon as I told them that I was gay, it was like it took everything to a whole other level.
For me, that would be the opposite. Like, I would find it hard if my son or daughter said, I'm into diapers, but if they're gay, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't care.
Exactly, yeah.
I want to know, this is an interesting thing. I mean, maybe we live in a bubble here in Australia, but the whole, like, someone's gay, no one really gives a fuck over here.
Yeah, it's definitely. Like, it seems like it's, as far as homosexuality goes, it's definitely more acceptable in other countries, and it makes no sense considering that the U.S. is supposed to be, the melting pot of the world, and we're supposed to be the most understanding country and the most accepting, and it's far not that. It is one of the worst countries to live in and be gay, other than China, where they actually murder you. But
I would say the Middle East is pretty bad. Italy's not the best either.
Yeah. But it seems like religion that's plays a big role in America as well.
Yeah.
Which is just weird. All right, I'm getting off track. We're not going to go down the religion path.
Definitely, I know. You're definitely going to come to Melbourne then, because we're all very understanding here.
Right. So let's just say you've had a big tough day at work, right? And you go, oh fuck, I've got to cook dinner. Do you sort of go, you know what, I'm going to be little tonight, so I don't have to cook dinner? No, because this is just me. Because I would shut up, Turch. I would exploit the situation. I would be like, you know what, I don't want to cook dinner tonight. Like, how can I get out of this?
I mean, so to an extent, you're absolutely correct on that. Don't tell my boyfriend this, but yes, there will be times where I'll say that I want to be little just so I can get out of cooking or doing the dishes or something like that.
That's amazing.
I'll be like, but I can't do the dishes. I'm too little. And that'll get. I can't reach them. But yeah. So no, like if I've had a super rough day, I will have called my partner and I will have I've already have told him what's been going on that day, and he's amazing. Like, I'll come home and I walk in the door and he's already got a bath drawn for me, and he's already picked out what diaper I want to wear, and he's already got my pajamas picked out, and he'll have a Disney movie ready to go, and so like I got lucky enough to where I have an amazing partner. But for a lot of people, before I met him, at least, I would have a bad day. I would literally just come home. The moment I walked in that door, I'd be naked. And I would hop in the shower, diaper up, and then sit there and watch anime or something the rest of the night, get high, smoke a bowl of weed or whatever, and, go to bed. And so it really sucked. It sucks being a little when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely not as fun.
Well, I'm going to do some research into this field. This is just...
Kieran's having a fun night.
For sure.
I do happiness research, so, this is just, it's all about, groups and purpose and coming together and relationships.
I mean, I say you go balls to the wall and just order yourself a pack of diapers and try it out for a week.
Look, not having to go to the toilet when I want. You've said there's ones that contain it.
I mean, have you looked at public restrooms lately, dude? Come on.
They're pretty bad.
They're pretty bad.
I was just going to say, the big thing for me, like, it's in theory, it sounds absolutely amazing. I can just pee and then go. I don't have to, like, get out of the cinema and this and that. But how did you how did you go, you know what? I have this thing in my brain where I'm just like, no, I can't pee myself.
I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I just don't think I could. It's like peeing in,
you mean like physically?
Yeah, there's a physicality to it where it's like... I've learned not to pee myself.
I can't even do it in the ocean or a swimming pool.
Yeah, because the water.
Yeah, no, totally. Like,
how did you break that
trained yourself for years and years? It takes a lot of practice and a lot of.
Because a lot of people would say, and I might be wrong here, but that almost consider like a regression. But you're doing it to yourself.
No, totally.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, no, totally.
Toilet training is conditioned.
First starting out, it was like super hard to wet a diaper, and especially like I remember when I first started wearing, constantly, I could not wet myself while laying down. I had to stand up. I mean, it was even to the point when I first started that I would have to stand in front of the toilet in order to pee the diaper. But as time went on,
yeah, you said you don't do it's never number 2. It's usually just number 1.
Well, not never, but mostly it's just number 1.
That would be the hardest one for me because I do like because I don't think I could poo myself in the cinema or like going or going having lunch with someone or anything like that. I don't like I said, I don't think I could pee myself, but pooing myself, I like the isolation of the toilet. Like that's me time.
Well, sometimes shit happens.
Oh yeah. Kieran, do you have any more questions for Tyler?
I'm done. This has been fascinating, Tyler.
Amazing. Tyler, look, we've had you on here for way longer than I thought I would keep you. But you've been absolutely fascinating, mate. I'd love to be able to keep in contact with you, see how you're going in the future, if that's cool with you, mate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would love that.
That'd be amazing. Look, if people want to get into the Adult Baby Diaper Lover thing or just are more curious about it, where can they start? Is there a forum? Because
we might just have that one person who is, the expert. At 15. Yeah, maybe go,
right. Somebody that has the in for you. No, so I mean, there's a lot of websites out there. ADISC.org is probably one of the biggest ones to get information about what this community is, what it's about. There's also, as far as like connecting with people, I have found that Facebook seems to be the biggest community of people. There's so many groups for this on there. There's so many different people
and Kieran, that's how I found Tyler. That's how I found Tyler, through a Facebook group.
Correct. Yeah.
I can't remember which one exactly but don't look through my groups. It's a bit scary.
That's right. I'm the CEO,
I belong
Tyler.
To so many different groups I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
I have almost like 1,000 friends on Facebook, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know like almost every AB in the world.
Oh, that's great. So, so lots of things through Facebook. Obviously, that website you stated. And you said, what's the brand of diapers to buy for, to test things out? What was the brand of your choice?
So I'm definitely not sponsored by these people at all, but I will definitely say that any diaper by Tykables is a safe bet. Right. I've never had anything bad from them.
There you go. And fantastic. And do you have a blog or a website or anything like that where you post stuff or anything like that that you want to share with us? If not, it's all good.
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook under Taylor Carlson, or you can also check out my YouTube channel just by searching Saguaro Productions. We got a couple of good videos on there. Always posting more content all the time.
Fantastic. Well, we'll put those in the links description of our sort of stuff as well. And we'll try to get this out ASAP. Tyler, thank you so much for being on the show. We've learned so much. You've answered so many of our questions. It's been one of the most fascinating interviews we've done. And we hope to stay in contact with you as time goes on.
Yeah, it's definitely been my pleasure, guys. It was great meeting you.
Fantastic.
And if you come to Melbourne, let us know.
Absolutely. You can stay with Kieran.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll make sure I bring extra diapers.
Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for listening for this episode. I'll just let you know, for all your wanking needs, make sure you follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you'd like to send us some hate mail, a death threat, or a rant, record it on your phone and email us at weonlydoonetakepodcast@gmail.com. Tyler, thank you so much once again.
Yeah, anytime.
And Kieran, thank you so much for a fantastic episode.
Thank you. I just want to point out that you said for your wanking needs. When just Tyler won't know this, we did a poll for our listeners, and what do they want to be called?
Wankers.
And they said wankers. And in Australia, it's very easy for me to go, "Oh, you wanker!"
Almost a term of endearment.
Yeah.
A bit of a different world.
But I just thought you said that, and Tyler's probably going, what the hell's going on here?
We love all our wankers around here. And for all you lovely people out there, we will see you next Thursday.
Thank you very much, Tyler. That was fantastic.
That was amazing, buddy.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed.
No, we did. We learned so much. Hope to stay in contact, all that sort of stuff. And I'll let you know when this is coming out. So if you'd like to share it with a bunch of other people, please do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know I will.
Excellent. Tyler, thank you so much. I'll let you go. Enjoy your day.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Bye.
Amazing. Hey, before we go, I was just still in the air. I have a gift for you.
Yeah.
But I know that you're back on keto. But I know that you're. That's right. I know that you're back on keto.
Yes.
But I have a New Year's gift / Christmas gift for you.
Ooh.
Because on New Year's you ate a whole bunch of something.
Did I?
You did.
Oh,
so I found these.
Oh! Oh. Yeah, no wonder why I put on all the fucking weight.
So that is Nutrigrain nuts and bolts. It's just the original, I think.
When I get off,
it's
keto,
ready to go.
Oh, I will. I
go.
will. Actually, bike ride in April. This will be perfect
there
fuel.
There you go. You're ready to rock.
Perfect fuel. Thank you very much.